What's going on, everyone? Vince the Engineer here. Today's going to be a quick video. We're going to be preventing some grubs, so stay tuned. All right, so this application is really meant to be a preventative application because the grubs, basically, they transform, they become beetles. And around the month of June, those beetles make their way up and into the air, and then what do? They end up coming back down to the soil layer, laying a bunch of eggs, and then those eggs become new grubs, right? And those new grubs are hungry, right? So they're gonna feast on basically what's in the soil, which are the roots of the grass and weeds and other things like that. So what we wanna do is make sure that this application is in the soil because it acts as sort of like an appetite suppressant, right? And that is when those grubs, as they're feasting on some of these roots, they're gonna come into contact with the GrubEx and it's gonna suppress their appetite. They're not gonna feed on these roots and they'll eventually die. So that's how we're gonna prevent things here. If you wanted to forego this application, you could certainly do that. You could certainly risk that. Just be on the lookout for some damage later on in the summer, like late July, August time frame is when you might expect to see a lot of this damage, and you'll see patches of basically dead grass, and it'll lift up very easily. At that point, if you experience that, you'll need the quicker, faster acting 24-hour grub killer that basically kills on contact. So this application here really prevents the need to do the later application. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we get a good application here, but that's kind of the intent, is to just be proactive and preventative and hoping for a good outcome. I did do a video a while back on GrubEx and the different types of grub applications. So if you're interested in learning more about that, more of the differences between like the 24-hour grub killer versus this season-long application that we're doing today, I'll leave a link in the description down below to that video. Make sure you go check that out. But today's application is going to be really quick. We've got a small little bag here. This is GrubEx. This is for 5,000 square feet. Just picked it up from Home Depot. I think it was like, I don't know, about like $23, $24 or something like that for a 14.35 pound bag, about 15 pounds here. So this is what we've got. Season long control, right? This is good. This has got the active ingredient. Can't even pronounce what that is, but this is basically going to act as a suppressant, almost like an appetite suppressant. So eventually, they come into contact with this, they lose their appetite for eating, feasting on those roots, and they eventually make their way deeper down into the soil where they eventually die. Just a real quick update on the lawn here, because if you've been following along, we're going through sort of like a transformation. I'm kind of working with what I've got here, just to bring you up to speed. Last season we did do an overseed application, and we did try to eliminate as many of the weeds at the time as we could. Did not do a pre-emergent application going into the winter. Came back here in the spring, lots more weeds. Better turf, but still the weeds have infiltrated. So last week, if you were tuning in, we did address the weed issue. We applied some weed killer, some weed killer that was safe for the lawn. That was the Bayer Bio Advanced formula, triplicate like 2,4-D, quinclorac, dicamba, that kind of stuff. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in that video. Go check it out. But we're transforming this lawn. It's it's looking pretty rough. So this is going to be sort of that ugly lawn transformation. We are about ready to also apply fertilizer, which I will be putting together a separate video for that. So make sure you're subscribed to stay tuned for that video. But yeah, today's application is going to be for grubs. Next video will be that fertilizer application. But the weed application did pretty good. Let's take a look. So I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera here, but there has been more of a general yellowish cast to the lawn. That's because some of these weeds are starting to thin out and die out. This is just some of the clover That's been impacted. No, this is just about a week ago, so it's still on its way out. There was a bunch of dandelion over here that has all mostly wilted. You can see some of this is starting to wilt away and die. This will take time. Other things are browning out. You know, this is definitely a work in progress. It's not going to be an overnight fix. I want to try and show you as real time as possible all of the steps involved with caring for a yard like this and trying to turn it around without doing a complete renovation. You got to understand that, you know, this does take time. There's not one product that's going to solve all of your problems, all of your issues. You're going to have to make several applications. And there are also some good cultural practices that you'll have to use as well, like mowing frequently, mowing with a sharp mower blade, things of that nature. But follow along. We've got tons more content coming on the channel, really gonna transform everything here. And before you know it, we'll be mowing some really nice stripes. So I just put down the GrubEx and forgot to mention probably the most important thing, which is to make sure it gets watered in. You want this product to seep into the soil and be present in that soil layer so that the grubs find it, are able to feed on it, and then start that appetite suppressant. So make sure after you apply this product, if you're applying this, you know, preventative product, make sure you water it in. Absolutely critical. And that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for joining.